Alrighty, everybody, it is currently Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, and I just wanted to give all the Muslims out there a happy belated Eid Mubarak, some. Alright, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know what it's called, but I know, like, in spirit what it is. Alright, and in spirit what it is it's fake Lent. Alright? Alright, that's what it is. It's like if fucking like David Goggins or like a not even David Goggins himself, but like a dude who watches David Goggins made fucking Lent, whatever, or like stole it and made it into his own thing. It's like Mark Wahlberg's 40-day challenge. That's what it is. It's like just stealing Lent and doing your own thing with it. And I know what everyone's gonna say. Well, the Christians stole Lent from some other local. Well, they destroyed them. All right, the Christians just killed all of them, and so they're not there to talk shit about it. The Muslims didn't. They tried. They got a good lick in. They did, but they didn't finish the job. You know what I mean? And they've been. I didn't know this. They do the Bible. They like read the Bible and stuff. They fuck with it heavy. But yeah, I mean, are we surprised they're so cantankerous? Fucking, I would fly planes into that building too if I had to put up with that shit for once a month. That wasn't even like a terrorist attack. That was just a mass suicide. Them being like, "Fuck, dude, I just can't do this anymore. I gotta get rid of this," because it's the desert, right? That's where they live at. It's fucking hot all the time, and even when it isn't hot, it's cold, and it's not the fun type of cold either, where you're like playing in the snow. It's like cold, shitty, dry, fucking windy cold. Even in those ninja costumes they wear, it still has to fucking suck, right? That's why they're so god. That's why the Middle East has been a shit show since the beginning of time. No, not since the beginning of time. Since people stopped eating for some reason. I don't know. Did they steal that too, dude? Or are they doing it because of Jesus? Because they're doing it because of Jesus. That's, at least you're giving the man some credit. But if they're like, no, Muhammad did it. Fucking Jesus stole that from Muhammad. What are you talking about, dude? Muhammad came up with that first. He whispered the joke into Jesus' ear. Jesus said it louder than everyone else, and now they think it's his idea, which it wasn't. It was Jesus' idea. He came up with that one. He was just trying to get away from all the bullshit, even though he was not married to a woman or in a relationship with a woman. He still had to avoid them for all that. His mom was the only one left. Jesus, clean your room, because Mary was a Jew, right? And so she probably had that annoying ass fucking that Jew voice. Hopefully no Catholics are listening to this. But she probably had that annoying ass Jew voice. Jesus, what are you doing? You're home late again. I was hanging out with my fucking apostles, Mom. God. Dad. Not God. Dad. Fucking make this bitch leave me alone. Strike her with lightning or something. Get her the fuck out of here. I was hanging out with the fucking apostles. We were talking about some shit, Mom. I think we're really figuring something out here, Jesus wasn't... he wasn't God's son. He was just like a Gary Vaynerchuk type hustler. He was like, I figured it out, Mom. I'm trying to break out of the Matrix here, and you're fucking ruining my shit. I'm going to go in the desert for 40 days. Do you even know who Marcus Aurelius is, Mom? It's called Meditations. It's called Stoicism. Fucking read about it. I don't need a job. I don't want to be a fucking carpenter. Joseph, my fucking stepdad, he's in the Matrix. He is fucking, I'm Neo, and he's just a little shitty fucking peasant walking around, and you're Agent Smith trying to keep me in here. I'm gonna break free of the Matrix, Mom. Fuck you. And then he went into the desert for 40 days and fought the devil. He fought him there. You know what I mean? And if Jesus is what I'm saying he is, his devil was a severe porn addiction. He was spending too much on the OnlyFans. You know what I mean? He was like, "Fuck, dude, I'm spending way too much on the only goats. I've been spending too much on the only goats, dude. All these goats spreading their buttholes. I've been looking at it too much." That was him fighting the devil out there in the desert, just chilling out there. But yeah, the desert is pretty chill, though. Anyone that's been to Los Angeles knows the desert, you need the desert. That's like a good desert, though. I don't know if that's full-on desert. That's like half desert. And some half deserts, like western Kansas or like North Dakota, that shit fucking sucks. But like Los Angeles, it's perfect desert weather. It's nice and dry. And the thing about like the dryness, the dry heat, is that you can wear a hoodie or whatever. So you don't need to get sunburned. But when it's humid, dude, when it's humid outside, you start fucking ripping your clothes off like a crazy lady in an airport. I've seen 2 videos this week of crazy ladies in the airport ripping off their fucking clothes because their flight was delayed or something. And I think it's like, that's like the equivalent of like a lizard shedding its tail when it feels like it's in danger. It's like, fuck, I gotta get these clothes off. The predators are surrounding me. It's like the schizophrenic female version of that. And they're not These aren't beautiful babes we're talking, all right? These aren't Karen Reeds we're talking about here. And if you don't know, Karen Reed is the fucking lady in Boston who allegedly killed her husband or something. But they said she fucking reversed into him, which I don't believe. All right, women can't reverse cars. No way, no way she did it on that small of a target. He could have just like sidestepped and beat her. So I don't believe that. But these aren't beautiful babes we're talking about. These are lizards. They do look like lizards. They look like if a lizard was fat somehow. That's how like if a lizard could be fat. I don't know if reptiles can be fat. I don't know if they're like that. But if they could be, that's what these women look like. Just almost like tick-like. You know what I mean? They do got some big old black lady bus driver arms though, which, you know, that's a sign of high class. You know what I mean? Like being fat and having like small like arms and legs and shit, that's a sign of being low class. All right, that's like a sign that like your ancestors didn't have enough food, and so they were just so used to being skinny, their body never considered how to properly store fat. That's what that is. So if you ever see someone like that, that's a sign of a low class person. Not like me. I'm a high class individual, dude. My ancestors knew exactly what they were doing. Put all the fat on the love handles. Every single ounce of fat you got, lay it on those love handles, dude. Take it away from the brain. You know how your brain needs fat to operate? Love handles are more important. We're going to put them right there. I do have insane love handles. I don't get it. I don't understand it. If I didn't have love handles, it would be over. It would be over for everyone else. If I didn't have love handles, I'd have a six-pack. My life would be perfect. If I didn't have love handles, I'd be so much smarter and hardworking, and everything. All my problems would be fixed. That is how like some people like view that shit though. They're like, I just need to get jacked. Like their only focus is like losing weight and like getting jacked or whatever. Which it is a good thing because ultimately it's all luck, right? Whether your life gets better or not, yeah, partially it's up to hard work or whatever, but it's mostly about being born rich, right? That's like the main thing that like makes your life better, and the rest is just fucking luck, right? So you might as well just distract yourself and live in like a world of delusion where like losing weight is the only problem. Being fat is my only problem. Yeah, I live in a warehouse. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with 12 other people, and it smells like cat piss and shit, and there's a bunch of roaches crawling around. But that's not my main problem, all right? My main problem is I don't have a fucking six-pack. If I had a six-pack, these roaches would fucking respect me, and they'd get out of my apartment, dude. My roommates would finally move out. They'd know I'm the alpha, and they'd let me sleep on the top bunk finally. But that is what America is now. It's just 12 people living in one apartment. We've become Mexican. We've become Mexicans. Just a bunch of people living in like the smallest house imaginable. We've become the thing we've sought to destroy. You know, Donald Trump. That's why Kamala had all those Mexicans come in, because she knew. She was like, fuck it. Economy's going out anyway. We got to get the Mexicans in here to teach these fucking whiteys that look, 30 people can live in a house. It's possible, all right? You need to do it to save money. Kamala was actually the hero. That's what people don't realize. You know, Trump stopping all the Mexicans coming in. It's fucking up the cultural flow. You know what I mean? That flow of cultural information that 80 people can live in a duplex, right? That idea that comes from Mexico that's like only really exists there. You could say the Indians do it, but the Indians they fucking, you know, they'll put like 30 people in one house, but then they'll like slowly expand the house. You know what I mean? Like they'll just keep adding on top of it. They'll like stack trailers on top of it, like Ready Player One. The Mexicans will be like, we got one bedroom. All right, everyone's sleep. We're not doing all that extra shit. Everyone's sleeping in one bedroom. So that's why we had the Mexicans come in and not the Indians. That's why Kamala had all of them come in. But speaking of politics, everyone's talking about these fucking tariffs, dude. It's just, I think people don't like Trump. People are like, Trump's making the economy go down. The economy's been going down since like 2008, dude. The economy's like, didn't they like manufacture a recession to keep the economy from imploding on itself? They manufactured a recession. I think it was a little bit fucked before Trump. People just hate him. I get it. He's not the most likable guy, and really Elon's the main problem here. Like if Trump, I don't know what he's doing with that, because you'd think he'd see it. He knows how to be liked. He knows maybe he's going to like pin it all on Elon. That might be his plan. His plan might be the economy was fucked anyway, so I'm going to bring this guy in, have him be like the patsy for this situation and just dump it all on him, which that is a solid plan. And it's not like he's dumping it on like some poor fucking, guy. He's dumping it all on Elon. He's like, this fucking autistic retard. You know what I mean? Trump's like the popular guy in school being like, I'm going to make the fucking autistic kid go flirt with the head cheerleader or whatever. That's what he did with Elon. He was like, fucking Elon, I think these people like you. I think if you run around with a chainsaw getting rid of everyone's job, I think everyone's going to like you if you do that. And Elon was like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll totally work. And then then he turned around to the rest of his boys. Fucking loser. He's never even been at the island. He's met Epstein one time, dude. Epstein probably hated Elon. He was probably like, Jesus fuck, can you shut the fuck up, dude? Because everyone thinks, Epstein was like some crazy smart guy or whatever. No, he just wanted to hang out with the popular kids. That's all that was. He was like, I gotta traffic a few fucking 8-year-olds and then I gotta hang out with all the richest, coolest people in the world. Sounds like a good plan. And then Elon pulled up and he was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I bet this guy's never even ate a kid before. I bet he's never fucking Hillary. Don't invite him to the baby eating party, dude. That's gonna be fucking. It's gonna be so lame. And Trump was like, no, dude, bring him. We could totally fuck with him. I think that's what they were doing with Elon. They were treating him like the fucking autistic kid, just making him do their bidding. He was their foot soldier of just embarrassment and social awkwardness, which that is a good plan. You gotta have one of those. That's what Joe Biden never really had. He never. I guess he might have been that guy because everyone blamed it all on Joe Biden, but Joe Biden was like barely functioning, right? He was, and I mean barely functioning, not even on a mental level. Mentally, he was gone. There's a fentanyl addict mentally is functioning better than he is. You know what I mean? Someone who injects meth every day is functioning mentally. I'm talking like functioning as a life form. You know what I mean? He was basically a sponge. He was just like laying there, like absorbing nutrients all day. That's what they had Biden doing. I think that's what Biden was. Elon is just the new Biden. They're like, fuck it. Everything's fucked anyway. Just blame it on this retard. We'll just hold on to power as long as we can. That is a solid plan though, right? It works. You gotta do it throughout history. You know what I mean? It's like fucking World War II. Blamed it all on just a poor, Hitler. Hitler was an art school kid. He was just a dumb fucking like nerd, right? And then all these other people were like, yo, Hitler, we should like kill all the Jews and shit, right? And he was like, dude, that's exactly what I've been thinking, right? We gotta do that. And they're like, fucking dump it all on him. Make it all his fault. Solid plan. And the rest of them, a few of them like ended up killing themselves or like drinking cyanide. It did get away from them a little bit. You know what I mean? They thought Hitler was autistic. No, he's not autistic. He was he's just a psychopath, right? He didn't act normally because he just couldn't. He didn't because he didn't want to. They mistaked it. See, that's what you got to look out for. And I think Trump's smart enough to look out for that in Elon, where he's like, he knows Elon is just like some dumb fucking patsy, right? That's what he's been his entire career. Like everything. Look, not to get too conspiracy theory on you guys, but like everything Elon Musk has ever done has been like completely funded by like the CIA and like or people involved with like the CIA and the intelligence agencies, right? And I think Trump saw that and he's like, fuck it, I can totally pin it all on this guy. I can make it all his fault, which solid plan. I think we all need to do that. We need to take a page out of Trump's book and do that, if that is his plan. And I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure that's what he's cooking up back there. And then he comes in and he's like, I fired Elon. I'm not a bad... See, that's... And this is where Trump is better than everyone else, because he's going to find a way to fucking punch his way out of that corner. You know what I mean? He's Buster Douglas, and Mike Tyson keeps knocking him out, but he's going to get back up. Or maybe he's a little more Muhammad Ali, and he's just going to jab his way out, fucking move his head a little bit, get out of that corner, and everyone's going to be like, all right, I guess it was all Elon, and I guess Trump knew the whole time. That was his plan the whole time, and he's going to fight his way out. See, that's why Trump became president and no one else did, right? Because other people would justify their plans. Other people would be like, take like the COVID vaccine, for example. Other people would be like, no, look, the COVID vaccine caused myocarditis. It didn't. They would try to like justify that plan. Trump just straight up ignored it. If you went to Trump with that shit, if you were like, Trump, all right, you rolled out this vaccine, it didn't work, it fucked people up, it like mutated their DNA, it didn't do anything it was supposed to do, and it was somewhat harmful. He'd be like, no, I didn't, that was fake, that was Anthony Fauci. He'd punch his way out of that corner like no one else could. and that's why he became president, and that's why he'll become president again. He'll be the president until we all die. He'll figure out how to make himself immortal. He'll bring in that fucking, what's that freak's name, Brian Johnson, that guy who like drinks his son's cum or whatever. That guy's like the science liver king. He'll bring in the science liver king, figure out how to live to 150, and just keep, he'll keep repeating the process over and over until he dies or like becomes Buddha and transcends past us all. That might be the thing. He might be going down the middle path right now. Not too bad, not too good, abstaining a little bit. He did fuck a couple porn stars, but that's no big deal, dude. If you had $1 billion, people bring that up, right? Like Trump fucked porn stars. He cheated on his wife when she was pregnant. If I had $1 billion, I would be doing so much worse than that. If I had $1 billion, there would be countries that didn't exist. There would be, not even because I hate those countries, just because I can. I'd be like, yo, can we fucking like drain a river in the Congo and just completely wipe out like an ethnic group? Is that something we can do? Like, let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? I'm a scientist like that. I got a scientific brain. I just want to do experiments and see what happens. I want to see what happens. And maybe I am a communist in that way, because the Soviets especially, they were like a big fan of that. They would be like, what if we just like turn this place into a desert? Like, what if we did that? and then like 10 million people would die, and they'd be like, yeah, it turns out when you turn fertile farmland into a desert, 10 million people, who would have fucking saw that one coming? All right, what's our next plan? What's our game plan, dude? We're going to send someone to Jupiter? Is Jupiter even fucking, can you even land on that thing? I don't know, but we're sending someone there. That's the communist mindset of just, fuck it. Fuck it, let's see if it works, you know what I mean? Chucking up shots from half court, being like, it's going in or it's not. If it goes in, then I'm a fucking hero. If not, it was a half court shot anyway. Fucking what are you going to do? And that's the Trump mindset, you know what I mean? People think he's a dictator because he wants to like control the country or whatever. No, that's what makes him a dictator. Just chucking off half court shots and being like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, fucking, no skin off my ass. A few million people die. What's the big deal? But everyone talks about the collapse of the country too, like it's going to be the end of the fucking world. No, dude, that's going to be fun. Do you know how fun it's going to be to like ride into a Target on horseback and just start stealing Legos? Fuck, dude, those riots looked so fun. Like, that's my biggest regret in life, is that I was 16 when the George Floyd riots were happening. If I was like 18, I definitely would have been like, we're taking a road trip to Minneapolis. I don't even care what we steal. I just want to go into a fucking Target while it's on fire. Run out with a Lego set like I'm saving a baby from a fire. That is my biggest regret in life. I don't know how everyone didn't. That looks like so much fun, dude. Just you and the boys in shitty like ISIS masks, running around stealing electric tea kettles from fucking Walmart and shit. That looks like the most fun. I don't know how everyone wasn't doing it. And that's a thing where people are like, why do people join ISIS? ISIS is an evil terrorist group, or like Hamas, or like, why do people join Hamas? Because it's fucking fun, dude. Can you imagine how fun that is? Just no repercussions for anything you do, or some repercussions, but no repercussions on you. You know what I mean? A few people might die, yeah, but fucking, no skin off my ass. Like, I'm just allowed to run around and do whatever I want and be like, I'm saving the country. Yeah, I would join that shit too. That shit sounds like so much fun. Or like the IDF, just flying a plane over like a bunch of Stone Age people, just dropping bombs and shit, just to not even kill them, just to see the bombs go off. I don't know. That sounds like fun, and that is the thing that drives all of humanity now. Or like at least in like the developed world, like the developed or like the Western world, like Europe and America and like Israel, like all that shit eventually is gonna collapse anyway. And even if it's not, we're just going to be like, oh, it's going to collapse anyways. Might as well have fun, right? That's why people elected Trump. They didn't elect him because they liked his policy or whatever. They weren't like, oh, he's going to impose all these tariffs and save America. These fucking people, they can't do simple addition. You think they know how a tariff on China is going to fucking work economically? Even the experts don't know. They're just taking wild guesses. So it's like, you might as well just have a fucking fun guy in there. And that is another problem with Trump right now. He's not coming out and like slam dunking on people. Like even that Cory Booker guy, he didn't That was Harrison Fields or whatever that came out and hit like the "You're not Spartacus, you're a spoof." That wasn't even him. And that's another thing he's got to step his game up on. I think maybe once he gets rid of Elon, then he's going to do that. Then he's going to come out with the swingers and stuff. You know what I mean? He's going to come out with the torpedo bat and just start sending fucking balls straight into left field. Doesn't matter if they're fair or not. It's a big fucking hit and everyone's excited for it. And that's what he's going to do. And he's going to come out and everyone's going to be like, he's going to give everyone the entertainment they need. That's another reason why people don't like Trump now, right? It's not because of his economic policy. Once again, it was all going downhill anyway. It doesn't matter what he does. It was going downhill anyway. It's because he's not entertaining anymore. John Oliver and Jon Stewart and fucking Anderson Cooper just have nothing to talk about they're all talking about Elon, who everyone already hates. Like, even the conservatives don't like Elon. Even they're like, Jesus fucking Christ, can this nerd shut the fuck? He's a nerd, That's why people don't like him. They don't, it's not, because he's getting rid of everyone's jobs. Fucking every other president has kind of done the same thing. The only president that's ever created a job is FDR. That's the last president that created a job in this country. The last president that created a job in this country was only able to do so because the country was at its lowest point economically in fucking years, or probably since the beginning of its time. Even since when slavery ended, that probably wasn't as big as the Great Depression. The last president that created a job in this country was FDR. You can say Joe Biden did it. They didn't create any fucking jobs. They didn't end any fucking jobs, all right? The number of jobs has been steady since FDR, or people just have made up jobs. But, they just don't like Trump because he's not entertaining them right now. That's what he's got to do. People would happily have a third term of that guy if it meant just more entertainment for everyone. And, I'm just a political expert. I'm a political genius. I understand things in a way that others can't, I'm a guy from a small town, so I understand the politics of the world. People will try to do that shit where they're like, yeah, my upbringing just, it gives me an insight into the human condition that other people just can't understand, And it's like, no, I don't think it does give you an insight into the human condition. I think if maybe you did pills for a number of years and worked at a Dollar General, that might give you an insight to a human condition. But just living in a town with less people or living in a town with more people doesn't teach you anything. You can just be a moron and ignore everything, right? It doesn't. I grew up in New York, so I understand why what motivates people, what makes people tick. I understand why people do what they do. It's like, no, you're just an idiot, right? That's what most people are. That's what most people should be. If everyone was thinking all the time, the world would fucking suck. It would fucking suck, right? So we need the vast majority of people, including me. This isn't thinking. This is, this is just talking. This is just me trying to make as much noise as possible in the hopes that maybe one day it'll mean something, and it never will. It never will. You can talk as much as you want, but it's never going to lead to anything significant. You just got to, if you're rich, it will. If you were born incredibly rich, or you somehow ended up rich, which no one does anymore. Even if you win a Mr. Beast challenge, people are like, the only way to build generational wealth in America anymore is to win a Mr. Beast challenge. I don't know if people say that, but I've said that, and I'm the only real person on Earth, right? I'm the only person who has real feelings in a real life and real problems and stuff like that. So if I said it, everyone else must be thinking it. But even those people, when they become rich like that, they're not really rich. Rich is more of a mindset. The richest people in America are probably $30 million in debt, but just because of how they are the richest. If you just say you're rich, if you're just yeah, I'm richer than everyone else, it's just the way, I'm better than everyone else, I have more money. If you just say that, then it's true. Right? The Trump sneaker thing from SNL. If you just say it, then it's true. Speaking of saying things because they're true, we're talking about magic today, and we are talking about fairies. So fairies originate from Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, and French folklore. And of course they come from French folklore. The gayest of all the little magical creatures comes from French folklore. The gayest country on earth. Are they the gayest? They might not be the most homosexual. That title probably goes to America, but they are in spirit the gayest, right? It's the most racist country on earth. The most racist country on earth is probably China, right? They have people in concentration camps right now, but in spirit, how racist are they really? They're racist out of a place of, I don't know. logic or like rationality, but like that's not the basis of race. Like even if their logic isn't right and even if their rationale isn't correct, it's still coming from a place of some kind of logic or rationale. But like that's not the spirit of racism, right? Even when China's racist, it's a cheap fucking knockoff of what it actually is. Racism is actually just like a blind hate you have for a certain group of people because your life sucks, and you just blame it all on someone else. Right? That's like the spirit of racism. The spirit of being gay isn't just having sex with other men, you know? It's being, it's being gay, right? That's the same goes with racism, the same goes with everything else. Like the richest country on earth maybe is technically America, but it's actually like the UAE, the country that has like Dubai. They're just always building new cities. They have more of like their GDP per capita or whatever it is might be lower than everyone else's, but like in spirit they're the most rich country. And in spirit, China's just, they're not racist like that. They're way too fucking logical to be racist like that. Like even their racism is all like perfectly planned out and has like 100-year plan to it. America's racism is just like a dude fucking like frothing at the mouth screaming because a Mexican made a taco or something like that. He lost his job at the Amazon warehouse because he got a DUI on the forklift, and then he just blames it all on Mexicans. Right? That's the spirit of racism, and that's what China needs to understand if they're going to be really racist. It's you gotta have the spirit behind it. You gotta have the oomph. You need some cheerleaders out there being like, "Fuck the blacks" or "Fuck the what," or you just need to be like that. That's what Hitler had. People are like, Hitler's the most anti-Semitic guy ever. He didn't even get all of them. People. Whenever people talk about going back in time to like kill baby Hitler with their time machine, it's like, he didn't succeed, right? Like the opposite of what he wanted to have happen happened, right? Like his nightmare that like the Jews would like form an ethno state and become like this extremely powerful group of people, that happened. So going back in time and killing Hitler because he wanted to kill all the Jews, it's like going back in time and killing fucking Napoleon because he wanted to take over the whole world and rule it as a dictator, right? He didn't succeed in that. Hitler didn't succeed in fucking doing what he wanted to do. People might say he got close. I don't know. He could have. He could have very well got close. I do think he got close, but still, they came back and they came back hard. Mike Tyson, once again, another Mike Tyson comparison. He fucking knocked down Buster Douglas, but Buster Douglas got right back up and said, "No, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure people go to church on Saturday, and I'm gonna." I'm gonna impose my will of going to church on Saturday on the entire world. So Hitler, he didn't succeed in what he was doing. So why would you go back? You got to go back in time and kill someone who actually succeeded. And that's the hard thing. Like when you get your time machine, you got to actually try to determine who the bad guy in history is. But the bad guy in history, like the really, really bad guy, like Hitler was obviously a bad guy, but like the really bad guy is the one who won and then rewrote history. So you gotta like suss it out, right? You gotta be like, all right, what's the plan here? Genghis Khan, but people still call him evil, so it's not him. Who was it, right? That's the tough thing about going back in your time machine and deciding which baby to kill. Or you could go back in your time machine and just start like a Planned Parenthood and kill all the babies, you know what I mean? That's like a solid plan. That could be the move of going back in time and being like, all right, I'm just gonna run the Planned Parenthood plan, fucking go to where do all the people come from? Like Eastern Europe. All right, we're gonna start a Planned Parenthood in Eastern Europe. Hopefully that'll get the bad guy that we're looking for out of the game. Let's look for who's evil out here. So that is the move that you got to do. If your time machine plan is to go back and kill baby Hitler, it's not going to work out. The Jews are just going to stay in Europe and they'll never start Israel. Maybe that is your plan, but I don't know. It's not a solid one. You're just going back in time and killing a guy who didn't succeed. You got to kill someone who succeeded. I don't know who that is. That's a tough call. You might get George Washington or something like that. You might get one of those guys. Or if you just want to see, you might not be able to determine it. It might just be, fuck it, that's too complicated. I'm not ever going to be able to determine it. You might want to take out like Ulysses S. Grant or something like that. Just be like, what would happen if slavery did stay? That could be, The Confederate States of America. That movie was pretty fucking funny. So maybe I'll go back in time. I'm also white, so no harm, no foul to me. So I think that's a solid plan that I'm gonna, just to have some fun. That's what I would do with my time machine. I'd just go back and like kill whoever and just kill whoever I think would have the funniest outcome, and that would be who I'd kill. And it wouldn't be Hitler. Like if you killed Hitler, that would just be the outcome wouldn't be, anything crazy. Even Stalin, if you killed him, the beef between the USSR and America, the Cold War, all that shit, that was fun. People don't want to admit that. That was a fucking fun time in America. You know what I mean? That was like prime America years. After World War II, there was a Vietnam in there, but only like 50,000 people fucking died in Vietnam. But like the rest of it, besides Vietnam, even Desert Storm was fucking fun. Desert Storm, we just went over and took over a country in like 3 days or whatever. That was fun. So you don't want to go back in time and kill Stalin either. And those are the two main ones that I think people would go after, Hitler or Stalin. Maybe you might get a guy who's like Mao Zedong. You might want to go back and get him, and that could be a solid plan. Because if you take out Mao Zedong, then like America doesn't become a vassal state of China, and it's like endless exports of plastic to this country. So it might be a solid plan to take out Mao Zedong, but also, you take out China, you don't get like anime porn and shit like that. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call deciding who you want to kill when you go back in with your time machine. And you don't want to take out Epstein because the country is fucked anyway. At least Epstein's like a fun, conspiracy theory that you can distract yourself with. You don't want to kill that guy. It's a very tough call. Or you could go back in time and save someone, right? You might want to save Princess Diana. That would be fucking fun. Going back in time and stopping like the fucking whoever killed her, MI6, the British intelligence agencies, whoever killed Diana, save her, get her to spill the beans. That would be fucking fun, and then you go back to like 2024, no Meghan Markle or anything. You might have to go back in time and save Princess Diana because Meghan Markle is that fucking annoying that it's worth it. It's worth it to plan a grand conspiracy against the British intelligence agency to make sure Meghan Markle and her shitty fucking Netflix show about tea and jam and fucking biscuits or whatever doesn't ever come out. That might be what you have to do. And all the people that like fucking obsess over Princess Diana, those fucking annoying fat whales from the suburbs would shut the fuck up. Everyone's great aunt would stop talking about Princess Diana for once. That might be a solid plan. That might be what we have to do with our time machine. Or you can, dinosaurs is also, that's the ultimate, right? If you can't figure it out, you just go back in time and you see the dinosaurs. And hopefully they're not as gay as like all these scientists are making them out to be. Hopefully they're not just like big giant chickens, Or maybe hopefully they are, because I don't know if we're outrunning a T-Rex, But I don't know. I think dinosaurs is like, fuck it, we can't figure it out. It's the ultimate plan. Just go back in time and see what's up with the dinosaurs, see what was happening. Don't go in the fucking ocean, though. I am terrified of the fucking ocean. I'm one of those, like, if I see, like, I love nature documentaries and shit like that. David Attenborough, the three-toed sloth. I'm a big fan of that guy, but the fucking ocean, when they show that part, I'm like, I'm skipping this, dude. And I love whales and shit, too, but it fucking creeps me the fuck out. Speaking of creeping things the fuck out, I had like a lab today where we dissected a squid or whatever. People were like freaking, and it is all chicks in that class. It's just me and a bunch of chicks, and I don't understand how. I don't understand how it's just me and a bunch of chicks, because maybe it's because they're all going into nursing or something, but this is like a biology class, right? It's not like it's not like the political study of how gender relates to fast food or whatever, It's not one of those classes. It's not, it's not females in cinema history or whatever, just a completely meaningless class. It's like an actual class. So I don't understand how it's just me and all chicks, but they were all like, ew, gross, look at that. Like this one girl was almost crying because of a squid or whatever. And I will admit, it was pretty fucked up what we were doing to these squids. They were already dead, but it was like some ISIS torture shit. Like at one point, we were like looking for certain parts on the squid, right? We were like, where's its beak at? Where's its mouth at? Shit like that. And we were like, and the professor was like, did you guys find the beak on it yet? And we were like, no. And I was the one that like dissected it, obviously, because I was the dude in the group. And so she came over and she started carving this thing the fuck up. That thing looked like an ISIS, not even an ISIS execution video. Like ISIS would watch her do that and they'd be like, yeah, we were right to oppress women. After watching what this lady did to this squid, she went in there and she started butchering that thing. That was like some Dahmer type shit. I don't know. But a squid, I don't feel bad about a squid. If we had to, this one girl started talking about how they had to dissect a cat's eye. That's just pure evil. Like why a cat? Like a million fucking pigs are slaughtered every day. You couldn't get a few pig eyes or whatever. You had to dissect a cat eye. I don't know. I don't know what professor decided to go for the fucking cat eye, but she must hate him. She must be a dog person if she's going after the cat eye. Like how many millions of cattle are slaughtered every day in this country and you can't get a few of their eyes? I don't know. Maybe all the Chinese people are like buying all the pig and cow eyes to do, magic medicine with them or whatever. But I don't know why they were going after a cat eye. She must be a dog person. And I'm not the biggest cat guy, but I still wouldn't just. And it's not like a pig or a cow where you kill it and then it's like, well, we were gonna throw out the eyes anyway. Let's give it to these biology students. Why? It's like, did you find like a cat slaughterhouse? I think this lady might have just been Dahmer and she was just like drowning cats in her backyard and she was like, got all these fucking cat eyes. What am I gonna do? She just had a bunch of cat eyes in her freezer. It was like Totino's pizza roll and next to that was like a bucket of cat eyes. And she was like, what am I gonna do with these things? So she just brought them into this fucking class and had them dissect them. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I have like kind of shaky hands, especially when I get in my head about it, my hands get a little shaky. You know what I mean? And so maybe it's just me, but like I feel like that's impossible to do. To dissect a cat eye, like if I did it, it would just be like it would just turn into a pile of Jello immediately. It would just be, fucking Bill Cosby would want to munch on that thing. Like if I tried to dissect a cat eye, it would not go well. Like that would actually be icky. Ew, gross. It's a squid, dude. And speaking of the squid thing. So we take the squid, we have it on this dissection tray, and we're fucking, cutting it up like it's the Poughkeepsie tapes or whatever. And at the very end of it, she's like, all right, now get rid of the squid. And this girl picks up the tray, and I was like, fuck it. I guess I'm the one that's got to pick up the squid and throw it away. And we go over to, like, this red, like, biohazard disposal bin or whatever. And I open it up, dude, and there's just, like, if squids ever figure guns out, we are fucked, dude. If this is the way we've been treating squids, we as a society are fucked. Because if a squid saw that, they'd be like, kill all the humans. They're all out of the game. Squid Hitler would Squidler would instantly fucking arise out of like the intelligent squid group and we'd all be dead because this thing was fucking. And squid have like those long ass like arms and tentacles and shit. And so it was just like a pile of like dead squids just like flopped over on each other with like their arms all sprawled out and shit. It looked like an IED. It looked like I understand why Hamas was created after seeing that. Like that happens to like one preschool in Palestine. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna, Hitler wasn't that wrong. We're just gonna have to destroy Israel, right? Like I can't. And I've never been a guy that's like Al Qaeda, or when people will talk about like the Iraq War and they'll be like they hate our freedom, even though we invaded that country first for no reason. And I think people will hear someone say that where they're like, Iraq was useless. And people hear that and they'll be like, oh, that means Saddam was a good guy. And it's like, no, I just don't care about people in Iraq. It's like Saddam was killing all his own people in Iraq. That's why we had to invade that country. And it's like, I don't give a shit. People are killing each other all the time. We're going to invade anywhere, everywhere. If we're going to do it, let's do it. Right? That's like been the problem with like the last few American wars, especially. That's like the main problem people have with like Ukraine and Israel and like Iraq, Afghanistan, even Vietnam, People have problems with it, not because they think we're like fighting a bad war or like a war that we shouldn't be fighting. It's because we're fighting it like pussies, dude. Like if we're going to invade Iraq, let's fucking go all in. And that obviously isn't the point of the war. The war wasn't, to destroy the country. It was to like get in there and get like ExxonMobil a bunch of oil or whatever. But still, if we're going to fight a war, we got to get one under our belt. That was like a thing. That was like how the Aztec Empire remained powerful for so long. Is they were just like constantly at war with like an enemy that like didn't really exist. But like they just kept fighting the war and everyone was like, fuck, dude. We got to unite together so we can keep fighting this enemy. And that's what Trump's got to figure out. He's got to get us into like Myanmar or whatever. Myanmar is a good fucking target. I don't think they're really super allied with China, and I don't think they're allied with like any other powerful country around them. So it's like, let's just get into Myanmar, go in there, really fuck them up. You know what I mean? Really fuck Myanmar up because they're already in the middle of a civil war right now, and it's like the the government power in Myanmar is like a dictatorship and they're like committing a genocide or whatever. Let's get that one under our belt. Let's just do that one. And I think everyone will be on the same page again, you know? Raytheon, we spend $1 trillion on fucking Raytheon every year. Let's put that shit to work. You know what I mean? And it's like, if we nuke Myanmar, who's going to do it? No one's going to be like, Myanmar isn't going to launch any of their shitty nukes, you know? Yeah, Myanmar, like, the best they can do is, like, drive a tuk-tuk full of C4 into, like, a school or whatever. They don't got any good plans to stop us. Let's invade Myanmar, get everyone on the same page, and reunite as a country again. And let's get back to fairies. All right, we've been talking about Myanmar too much. It's always on my mind. Goddamn Myanmar. See, I'm already ready for it. I'm already to be, like, grit my teeth and be like, those fucking Myanmar, whatever dumb religion they follow, those motherfuckers. You know, I'm already for it. I'm already ready to go on that part. And I'm also already to talk about fairies. Other names for fairies include fae, fae folk, fair folk, or fairy. Faerie. And I think fae is like what the Celtics call them. They call them like fays. Oh, it's a fae. And that does make sense, you know? It's just like the Celtic, your accent defines the words you can say, or the other way around, like the words you say define your accent. I'm going to go with the other one because it's way more funny. But like an Irish person trying to say fairy, it just ends up sounding like fae. You're like, anyway, fairy, you know, you can quickly see how that one turns into fae. So I think that's a good call on the Irish part, sticking with fae instead of going to fairy, you know. That would also be given in to the British, who they hate for some reason, and the British who hate the Celtics for some reason. But usually a fairy is a spirit of nature. There's a few other conspiracy theories out there that I don't really believe. You know, some people think they're like demoted angels. Some people think they're like the predecessors to humans. I don't believe any of that bullshit. They're obviously just like spirits of nature. They're just beautiful little tricksters that live in the woods. They're beautiful little long-haired tricksters in the woods that lure me in. I wouldn't even be mad. Like people, like those ancient Greek myths about like the fucking sirens like tricking them into the water to drown them. It's like, is that big of a deal? The guy got fucking tricked anyway. He had what was coming to him, you know? And it's like drowning in the water. That is a tough way to go out. That is like one of the worst ones. It's like that. It's like boiling alive, drowning. I don't know. What's like another one? You know, jumping off a building. That one's not too bad. Gunshot, obviously, that's a quick one. Gunshot is the worst one if you survive it, though. Because it's not like if you try to kill yourself by like overdosing on pills, usually that's not gonna like fuck you up too bad. You know, the opiate epidemic in America is proof of that. You know, it's proof that even if you do overdose on pills, it's really not that bad. Like you can keep going, and you're probably gonna keep doing pills. You know, that's like the worst part about like a failed suicide by pill overdose. It's not that you like tried to kill yourself or whatever. That's just, to quote Larry Bird, you got to do what you got to do. You know, that's what he said after his dad killed himself. He did what he had to do. But, you know, that's the worst part, is that you end up taking pills and shit. But, yeah, drowning's not the most fun way to go out. Even if you hang yourself, that might fuck you up a little bit. You might get like an RFK voice or whatever, but like that can be kind of cool. You can like spin that around and like turn it into a cool thing. Like, this is how I talk. You know, you kind of start talking like that guy from The Walking Dead, and you just have a cool voice, and people ask about it, and you're like, I don't know how it happened. I don't want to talk about it. You can be like a sexy, mysterious stranger type of guy, you know, like an aloof guy that smokes cigarettes all the time. And if you take yourself out by gunshot wound, you usually end up as a vegetable, which is the ultimate punishment. It's like if you kill yourself by fucking gunshot wound and you don't succeed, and you end up a vegetable, that's your worst nightmare, you know what I mean? That's karma. You must have done something awful in the past life, because you're just in a wheelchair just like, please kill me. I want you to kill me. Please, you know? You try to drive your scooter off like the edge of a cliff, and some fucking guy saves you, and he's like, yeah, I think this retarded guy was trying to drive off a cliff, and you're like, but you can't talk. You can't be like, no, I was trying to fucking kill myself, and you ruined it. I was just trying to take my own life. I was just trying to get the fuck out of here, dude. I wanted out of here before I was in a fucking wheelchair. Now that I'm in a wheelchair, I really want out of here. And you came in, and you fucking ruined it for me. You want to say that, but instead you have to just sit there like, ugh. You know, you gotta have to just like Gollum having a seizure. That's what you have to talk like, and be like, no. You know, when the guy's saving you, just please let me plunge off these cliffs of Ireland. Let me go into the ocean. whatever's down there. If I live, I live. If I live, I turn into a mermaid. If I die, wish granted. So, but I don't know about fairies. Fairies don't seem too into killing people. We're gonna get into that a little bit because I might be a fairy racist. You know what I mean? And that doesn't, that kind of sounds like a euphemism for homophobia. No, I'm a big fan of the not the homophobes, big fan of the homosexuals. But I'm not a big fan of fairies. So usually a fairy, this is how you pick one out of a crowd. It'll have human features, magical powers, and a penchant for trickery. And you hear that and you're like, oh, these guys are just kind of mischievous, like I said, luring people into the woods. They might kill the occasional person, but you can't put that on every fairy. You can't be like, oh, these evil fairies that were like raised wrong, It's just bad fairy culture. So you can't put that on the fairies. But it's still, a penchant for trickery. They're, we might have to do some phrenology on the fairies, start measuring their skulls, seeing what muscles and bones they have or don't have. But a fairy has been used, or fairy is used as an adjective for enchanted or magical, which kind of undoes their penchant for trickery, And if you've ever been called a fairy, I don't know, maybe someone was just calling you magical. You gotta embrace it a little bit. But fairies often need to be kept away with charms like four-leaf clovers and church bells, right? And that's bringing them back down. That's bringing their credit score back down. You know what I mean? They had like a 700. I think that's average. I don't know how credit scores work, but let's say 700's average. They're kind of back down around the 500 range. It's like, why do I need charms and shit? Why do I need to go out and find a four-leaf clover and pick it if they're not these bad guys? Or why do I need to make these big-ass church bells if they're not that bad? It's bringing them back down a little bit. And by the way, I've never found a four-leaf clover. I've looked for four-leaf clovers my entire life, which that's like so poetic, right? It's like, I've been looking for a four-leaf clover my entire life and I've just never found it. Whatever. Isn't that like so deep and poetic or whatever? It's like, I guess I never thought about it like that. I guess I never like considered looking at life like that. Like if you look for a four-leaf clover and you don't find it, like that's kind of deep, right? But I've never found a four-leaf clover. Never found one. I do live in a town where they do have the church bells go off every now and then, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm kind of surprised they still have the church bells in this town, because this is a small town in Minnesota, which already makes it like a liberal hellhole. But then on top of that there's a liberal arts university here, which I just imagine that like I have to imagine that there's been at least like one like 300-pound blue-haired girl that was like the church bells trigger my PTSD. They make me like I have autism and stuff, and so the church bells, they like I can't. That has to have happened at least once. I gotta like I gotta get like a Freedom of Information Act to justify my completely unfounded belief. But it's not that unfounded, right? Like liberal arts universities are like the things that produce like clapping is like ableist because it scares autistic people or whatever. So not completely unfounded, but not, it's a little out there, but I think it's a solid idea. I think I got a good theory going in that department. But yeah, you gotta get the church bells going to ward off fairies. And there was a few other ones, like food. There's certain types of food they don't like, but I couldn't find that out. What would like a fairy? What type of food would it not like? Obviously, fairies like hot dogs, cucumbers, really anything penis shaped. I got to imagine they're a big fan of. So nothing in that department. Maybe like something with a lot of carbs in it. You know what I mean? Because fairies, whether we're talking about gay people or the magical creature, they don't like getting too big. You know what I mean? They're usually pretty fit. So maybe something with a lot of carbs in it, maybe like a bag of Lay's potato chips, that might ward off fairies. That's how you keep a gay dude from entering your house. If you're ever scared that like a gay dude is you invite someone over and you're like, this guy might be gay. If you offer him a potato chip and he doesn't eat it, it's like it's like offering a vampire a garlic nut. It's like, yo, garlic nut? He's like, no, I don't like garlic nuts. And you're like, who the fuck doesn't like garlic nuts? Or even like a dude that just like cares that much about how he looks that he won't eat like a little bag of potato chips. You know what I mean? Like one of those ones you get at baseball practice or whatever. A guy that won't eat one of those, can't trust him either. That guy's a fucking psychopath. That's like some American Psycho fucking, alpha male shit. You gotta keep those guys away too. So I think potato chips are a pretty good litmus test for fairies and fucking American Psycho wannabes. But fairies, some believe they are demoted angels. I already talked about that. And the biggest thing that's making me racist against fairies is that fairies are changelings. And if you don't know about changelings, this is a big thing in the changeling community. And some people will blame it on the changeling culture, but I don't believe that. I think, they've been doing it for too long. They've had so many opportunities set up for themselves, and they keep squandering them. So I think this is a part of the changeling, like inherently how they are. What they'll do is they'll steal babies out of someone's crib and they'll replace it with a changeling and have the fucking human raise the changeling baby, which is just, yeah, we gotta get them out of our out of our country. They're not equal to us. They're just not. Oh, your best friend is a changeling? Well, guess what? He could switch up on you any moment, right? That's why he's called a changeling. So I guess changelings are a type of fairy, which just, yeah, this is like the main thing that's making me racist against them is just replacing people's babies with fucking other babies. Who would do that? That's the most evil, vile thing I could imagine. Who would do that? That probably does happen all the time. Every switch up you hear about, like these twins were separated at birth, it was probably a changeling disguised as a doctor. I'm starting the anti-fairy QAnon. Jeffrey Epstein was a changeling. All right, so was Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein didn't actually kill himself. He turned into his own police officer that was guarding his cell. I think that's probably, if you looked on 4chan or even Facebook hard enough, you could probably find that conspiracy theory somewhere. But fairies are often classified as malicious or non-malicious. So this is where we're getting into the which ones do we deport, which ones do we grind up and use their fairy dust for good. It's a tough one. You got to figure it out. We got to come up with some kind of fairy citizenship test, Have you ever replaced someone's baby? Fucking answer honestly. You better, dude. We got a fucking troll here that'll munch you in one bite if you don't answer us honestly. I think that's what we got to do to get these fairies out of here. But fairies, it is debated whether or not Tinkerbell is a fairy or a pixie, but I think when it comes to Tinkerbell, we can all agree on one thing, which is that we want to fuck her, right? That's an objective fact about Tinkerbell, is that everyone wants to have sex with her, That's why Disney made her in the first place. They're like, this movie's full of kids. We got to get something to, have the adults bring their kids to this fucking movie. Let's put in a hot fairy in there, And she is, let's call it what it is. You're going to look it up and be like, oh, she's 16 or whatever. Even better. even better. But that's kind of all I got about fairies. Oh, and then some Christians believe that fairies are just demons, which I'm inclined to believe at this point, dude. What are you doing? Changing out people's babies and shit. What's the benefit of that? You can't raise your own kids. These things are fucking deadbeats. Fuck them. They are demons. But that's all I've got for fairies, and that's all I've got for this episode, guys. Yeah, see you guys on Sunday. I don't know what I'm gonna do on Sunday, but yeah, I'll see you guys then. Have a good day, good week, good year, good life, and peace.